Every parent wants their baby or toddler to thrive, but it can feel so overwhelming sometimes. Think about it. Toys, activity, classes, and plenty of unsolicited advice out there. So today, I'm actually going to show you how everyday play can build the key skills your little one needs for their milestones. No pressure, no fancy equipment, just simple, meaningful interactions. But first, let's talk about this little girl that I once saw who absolutely loved her playmat. She could stay there happily for long periods of time, but when I watched her, I noticed that her movements were mostly repetitive. She was reaching in the same way, rolling in the same direction, and she was also favoring the left side of her body over the right side. But none of this surprised us, though, because this little one was diagnosed with torticollis. And in this condition, this is where the baby has tightness or shortening in the muscles on one side of the neck. And boy, oh boy, can this affect a lot of different things. Remember how I've been telling you how important that neck and core strength is for so many different things like rolling, crawling, sitting, and eventually walking? And just so I don't leave you wondering about the symptoms of torticollis, I will briefly list them out for you, but most of them I already mentioned. So if you suspect torticollis in your little one, make sure that you do reach out to your pediatrician. My guess is if they have it, it's probably already been caught by now, but it's actually repetitive movement patterns like rolling in the same direction, reaching the same way. You can also tell your little one might have torticollis by side preferences, so consistently favoring one side of their body over another. They also have limited rotation through that trunk and that neck area. And then also you might see asymmetry in reaching, rolling, or even weight shifting activities. They also might be very comfortable staying in one position because movement into the hard side feels very challenging to them. So of course her mom was worried and willing to do whatever she could to help her little one. And the truth is her baby was engaged, curious, and even interested in different activities. So she just needed a little more intentional guidance during play. And obviously this little one was already seeing a physical therapist to help with some of those stretching movements for her neck. I was there to help facilitate play and different play positions. So instead of changing everything all at once, we made small, simple shifts. We actually started placing toys just slightly out of reach, not far enough to frustrate her, but far enough to invite some sort of effort on her part. I showed mom how to gently guide her daughter's arms across her body to help her experience rotation. We added tummy to back rolls into her playtime and making sure that we turned them into a game instead of an exercise so it was enjoyable for her. And the most beautiful part, none of this felt overwhelming because it really was play for her. Within a few weeks, things started to change. She began rolling with more confidence, reaching farther and farther for toys, and even started to pivot while sitting. Her movements became more purposeful and connected. But the biggest change wasn't just in this little one, it was actually in her mom. She realized that playtime isn't just about keeping your baby busy, it's actually one of the most powerful tools we have to support development. And when play is intentional, even small moments can lead to big progress. So let's talk a little bit about why play matters. Play isn't just fun, it's actually milestone magic. And while I always say play is a child's work, it's where learning happens and where the brain and body start making meaningful connections. When a baby is on the floor exploring, every small movement has purpose. Every reach, every pivot, every push, every grasp is helping to strengthen the foundation for future skills. So let's go ahead and break this down just a little bit further. So if we're thinking of core strength, okay, this actually begins developing from the very first days of your little one's life. And in infancy, it shows up as head control, tolerance of tummy time, and the ability to push up through the arms. And as babies grow, core strength allows them to rotate, sit upright without support, and shift their weight safely. And between 9 to 18 months, strong core muscles support, can you guess, crawling, pulling the stand, cruising, and eventually walking. By toddlerhood, core strength helps children to run and climb, walk up and down stairs, squat to play, and recover their balance when they fall. And without adequate core strength, movements often look stiff, delayed, or even uncoordinated. This is why floor play, tummy time, and movement-based play is so critical. They create the foundation for all gross motor milestones. Now, let's talk about arm and leg coordination. Early on, arm and leg coordination starts with simple, symmetrical movements like kicking, waving of arms, and pushing up on the floor. Over time, babies learn to move their arms and legs together and even separately, which is essential for rolling, crawling, and transitioning between positions. As coordination improves, movement becomes smoother and more intentional. And by toddlerhood, this coordination allows children to climb, kick a ball, throw a ball, and navigate their environment more confidently. So when coordination is limited, you may see repetitive movements, one-sided preferences, or difficulty learning new motor skills. Play that encourages reaching, rolling, crawling, and weight shifting activities helps these patterns develop naturally. Okay. So let's talk about visual tracking and eye-hand coordination. This, again, is another huge component to milestones. Think about this. So visual tracking begins obviously early in infancy when babies learn to follow faces and objects with their eyes. And as these skills develop, it connects directly to reaching because babies begin to visually locate a toy and coordinate their hands to grab it. And by the second year of life, strong eye-hand coordination supports feeding skills, the stacking of blocks, turning of pages, and manipulating of different toys. And by 24 to 36 months, it plays a role in drawing, puzzles, using utensils, and early self-care tasks. If visual tracking and eye-hand coordination is delayed, little ones may avoid reaching, missing objects, or seem disinterested in toys. Intentional play that encourages watching, reaching, and interacting with objects strengthens those connections over time. Okay, let's talk about another big one, problem solving and cognitive skills. So cognitive development is deeply tied to movement. From the beginning, babies learn cause and effect. If I kick, the toy moves. If I reach, I can grab it. These early experiences build problem-solving skills and confidence. So as babies grow, they begin planning movements, figuring out how to roll toward a toy, crawling around an obstacle, or climbing onto furniture. Toddlers even take this further by experimenting, pretending, and learning through trial and error. When play is limited or repetitive, opportunities for problem solving can also be limited as well. Open-ended, movement-based play encourages your little one's curiosity, adaptability, and independent thinking, which are all essential skills for later learning. When you start to think of play as building blocks rather than just toys or entertainment, it really does shift everything. Floor time becomes practice. Reaching becomes learning. Movement becomes communication because think about it. Your baby communicates long before they talk. They just use their body instead of their words. And the most beautiful part is you don't need complicated equipment or long play sessions. Intentional everyday play is one of the most powerful tools we can have to support our baby's development. So with all of that being said, let's talk about just a few common myths that I see about play. And I know this wears on moms' minds because I hear it all the time. Am I doing enough? What can I be doing more with my little one to facilitate that play? So let's talk about myth number 1. My baby or toddler needs fancy toys. The truth is, as I've referenced before, simple objects like a cloth, a small ball, or a safe household item work beautifully. In fact, on one of my testing items, I actually hide a toy with a cloth and see if the little one can retrieve it. I have 2 cups. 2 plastic cups that are not see-through, and I put an object under one of 2 cups to see if they can pull the cup. And these are some of my favorite and most played with toys. Myth number 2, play has to be structured. Unstructured play, exploratory play is just as important, and I would say sometimes often more important. Child-led play is super important, and it's important that you let your child explore this and do this on their own. Okay, myth number 3, if my baby isn't moving and on the go, play doesn't help. Well, the truth is, guided interactions, tummy time, and reaching games can activate muscles and coordination even in quieter babies or babies that aren't quite very mobile yet in their environment. So let's go ahead and break down 5 easy play strategies. So one of the things that you can do is reach and grab games. So placing toys slightly out of reach to encourage rolling, pivoting, and reaching across that midline, which is so important. You can also have tummy to back transitions. So gently guiding your baby through rolls, strengthening core and rotational movements, which is needed not only for crawling, but also for pivoting into a sitting position. You can have supported sitting challenges. Use pillows or your hands to encourage balancing and pivoting while holding your little baby's hips, and remember, not their shoulders. And then of course we have mirror and face play. Babies love looking at faces. It actually builds social interaction and good head control. So while on their tummy, give them a baby-safe mirror to look at because they will absolutely love it. Okay, the next one is floor exploration. Give them time on a safe floor mat with interesting textures or even toys. This encourages crawling, pivoting, and also problem solving. Now, I know most of those were geared towards a younger child, so let's go ahead and talk about toddlers that are ages 18 to 24 months. One of the first things you can do is follow the leader movement games. Kids love this. Invite your toddler to copy simple movements like walking, squatting, marching, or even reaching up high. This builds coordination, balance, motor planning, and imitation. All skills that support both movement and communication. The next one is push and pull play. So use everyday objects like laundry baskets, toy wagons, or even those simple Amazon boxes. Pushing and pulling strengthens their core and legs while teaching body awareness, cause and effect, and also problem-solving skills. And then we have up and down challenges. Encourage safe climbing on cushions, steps, or even low furniture. Practice stepping up, stepping down, and squatting to pick up toys. These movements build leg strength, balance, and confidence for running, walking, and stair skills. And then we have pretend play with movement. So act out daily routines like feeding a doll, putting a pretend doll to bed, or cooking in a play kitchen. Pretend play supports motor skills, language development, and social emotional growth, which is so important. And then last, choice-based play. I want you to offer 2 choices and let your toddler decide. Do you want the ball or the bubbles? This encourages not only communication, but decision-making and purposeful movement towards a goal. And remember, play is your most powerful tool. You don't need any special toys or elaborate schedules. Your attention, encouragement, and simple, consistent interaction are enough to help your little one thrive. I promise. Okay, so now you have learned all about the different ways play can strengthen milestones, but you might be wondering, okay, right now my little one is working on crawling, or maybe they're starting to pull to stand or cruise along furniture. How do I support them in these different stages? Well, I'm glad you asked, because that's exactly why I want you to watch this video right here. Because when you pair what you learned today with what's in that video, it is going to be even way more powerful, and you will understand your baby or toddler's development with so much more confidence and clarity. And as always, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye.